Well, ho, ho, ho! Let's spend an evening gathered with friends and family at the Parker household for a Christmas party filled with chatting, Watson family drama, and a twist ending. Is Jay Jonah about to tell a spicy joke after too much eggnog? Is Aunt Anna about to get a surprise Christmas present? Am I about to go on a rage-fueled rant about decompression? Let's find out in Ultimate Spider-Man number 12 from Marvel Comics. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. Before we dig into the review, let's do a brief recap from the last issue. When last we left Peter Parker in Ultimate Spider-Man number 11, Spidey encountered the next member of the Sinister Six, Mr. Negative, during a bank robbery. The villain used his telepathic powers to turn all the bank customers into a mob that attacked Spider-Man, giving the villain a moment to escape. Later, Mr. Negative debriefed Kingpin on the outcome, and Peter had two heart-to-heart conversations. First with MJ and then with Uncle Ben, about the increasing risk his exploits place on his circle of family and friends. The issue ended with the briefest of brief introductions to the new Black Cat. I mean, literally, she's just standing there in one panel. And that brings us to the current issue. We're going to cover it in brief, and then we're going to talk about the positives and negatives before we give a final score. In Ultimate Spider-Man number 12, it's Christmas time in the Parker household as friends and family gather to enjoy the festivities. May plays on MJ's phone while the grown-ups talk about grown-up stuff. Anna, Gail, and Madeline Watson surprisingly decide to show up to add energy to the evening, even if it comes in the form of dysfunctional family drama. Madeline, MJ's mother, intends to stay with her sister without advance notice, and Gail, unfortunately, is going through a divorce. As the party wears on, everyone appears to be on the road to making amends for past slights and hard feelings. For example, Gail, who is MJ's sister, had some misgivings about MJ settling, in her own words, for marrying somebody like Peter Parker. But now, under the circumstances, Gail, who's divorcing her husband after he had an affair, is finding that maybe settling for the boring nice guy is just the thing that she would have settled for in the beginning if she had known better. And so that rift has now given them something to commiserate over and to find some common ground that now appears to be healing the relationship. Likewise, Madeline, who is MJ's mother, who's, shall we say, flighty, is now coming around to kind of maybe providing some motherly guidance, getting together with her sister, who is Aunt Anna, and trying to find some way for the family to stop being so separated by time, experience, and different points of view. It's very heartwarming, it's very familial, but it relies heavily on you being invested in what's going on with Watson family drama. And so as the party progresses, eventually it comes to an end. The ending, however, is a little bit different than the rest of the issue. MJ gets a desperate phone call from Gwen Stacy explaining that Harry hasn't been seen in days. MJ was wondering where Harry and Gwen had gotten off to and why they weren't at the party, and now she knows. When MJ pulls Peter aside into the bedroom to discuss the situation because she thinks it might be related to their alter egos, we learn the real Peter Parker also hasn't been seen in days either. That should give you a clue. If you need a little bit of a stronger hint, we now see that Peter and Harry are victims of the next member of the Sinister Six, Ultimate Kraven, and we now have the appearance of what could be, maybe, if you scoot your eyes in the right direction, the emergence of Ultimate Venom. You know, it's hard to get completely mad at Ultimate Spider-Man number 12 because writer Jonathan Hickman presents another day-in-the-life issue similar to the, I guess you would call it, infamous double date in issue number 4, but the ending is super strong. Casual readers are likely to toss the issue after the midway point out of sheer boredom, and they'd be right to do so. But the ending may be a payoff that gets longtime Spidey fans excited. In short, Hickman is taking a gamble. What is he doing? He's gambling on your patience. The patience of the reader, the patience of Spider-Man fans, the patience of Marvel fans. He's gambling that you are going to stick with it in the very off chance that a sliver of what he's presenting is going to get you excited. So, does it work? Well, that's sort of up to you. It remains to be seen whether or not this gamble is going to pay off. Let's talk about some of the details of what works and what doesn't. Let's start off by talking about the art. God bless Marco Checchetto for making this issue look as inviting, as warm, and as wholesome as it could possibly be. Checchetto's figure work is fantastic. The character designs are amazing. And Checchetto's skill with facial acting brings Hickman's conversations to life. This is a very dialogue-heavy issue. It's almost all conversation. Even the last page I should say the last 3 pages, which are a bit of a strong twist. Even there, it's all conversation and just figures in posing states. If it wasn't for Chichetto's art, the score on this particular review would be much different. All right, let's start talking about what's positive and negative about this issue, beginning with what's great about Ultimate Spider-Man number 12. Put it all together, it's the ending that makes this issue remotely worth the read. In a series where Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, is almost treated like a side character, the ending at least gives readers the impression Hickman is trying to do something more than decompress and daydream and spend a lot of time circling the drain, as it were, while waiting for the Maker's return next year. There's a lot of waiting around in all the Ultimates titles, and this one is maybe possibly one of the worst examples of it. But that ending makes it for you. So it gives you a punch, it gives you something to remember, it gives you something to look forward to, and if you can maybe start weak but at least end strong, that's a step in the right direction. So the plot is maybe not what people expect, and certainly not what they would expect from a Spider-Man comic. But most of the issue, which is character building, world building, relationship building, how does that turn out? Are people going to like this? Well, there are these moments of reconciliation, primarily between MJ and Gale, that are really well done. The value of their scenes greatly hinges on your investment in those characters, so to be fair, you have to really buy into the Watson family to really get the appreciation that I think Hickman is going for in these issues. So there's some caveats you have to take into consideration. But if you just take these as 2 individuals and they're sisters and they're going through some things that need to be overcome so that they can come back together as a sisterly unit, those scenes are well done. And you get little smatterings of that with other characters as well, but the focus is really between MJ and Gale. All right, so let's talk about the negatives and what's not great about Ultimate Spider-Man number 12. Why on Earth 6160, under God's green heaven, does Jonathan Hickman believe Spider-Man fans are interested in interpersonal dynamics between MJ, her sister Gale, and her mother Madeline? Why does anybody at Marvel think that's interesting? You can say the scenes are well written. Okay, granted, I'll give you that. But who cares? Who cares? Next, what does the soap opera drama of the Watson family have to do with anything related to Spider-Man, the Maker's Council, the Maker, the Sinister Six, Kingpin, or anything else that's happening in this new universe that's been created by the Maker? The whole point of this series and everything that's been happening up to this point, which is a year now in the making, has been to get Spider-Man and his cast of characters up to speed in preparation for the Maker's return, which is happening a little less than a year from now. Most of this comic has nothing to do with any of that. Several of the issues in this run have nothing to do with any of that. This is Hickman taking his time and building things out, but these things are irrelevant and inconsequential to the greater task at hand. And it's not just in the moment that we're having some struggles and we're generating all these questions. It's about introducing something and then not paying it off. Why would Hickman go through the trouble of introducing a new Black Cat or instigate a fight with Mr. Negative that ends in a stalemate and not follow through on any of those developments? Where is the follow-up? Where is the next step? Why would you go through the trouble of making this big deal about introducing a new Black Cat and she doesn't even show up in this issue? She's only shown up in one panel in the last issue. Why have a fight with Mr. Negative when he doesn't capitalize on it, where they don't talk about what happened and what they're going to do next? Yes, you get a little hint at the end that something happened, but it's all just smoke and mirrors to waste time here. And last but not least, how many Spider-Man comics have we had in the 12-issue run so far that don't have Spider-Man in it? There's no Spider-Man in this issue at all. Nobody in costume, there's no fights, there's no action, there's no flashbacks, nothing. No Spider-Man. And there's been more than one issue in this series where that's been the case. Why do Hickman and Marvel editorial think that's okay? People are paying a premium price for this comic. They're trying to hang on because they believe they're going to get something out of it. When is Hickman going to get off his butt and pay that off? In short, Jonathan Hickman gives you well-written character moments for everyone but the main character, which is the persistent problem for this series. If it weren't for the last 3 pages, this issue would be a complete waste of time and money for Spider-Man fans who want to read a Spider-Man comic. It's right there on the title. This is not hard. Alright, those are the pluses and the minuses. Let's see if we can tie this up in a neat little bow. Ultimate Spider-Man number 12 does exactly what Marvel and Jonathan Hickman should not be doing. More world and character building of side characters, relegating Peter Parker to the back burner again. If it weren't for the strong, albeit predictable, twist in the last 3 pages and Marco Cicchetto's gorgeous art, this issue would be a complete waste of time for Spider-Man fans. And so what does that mean for the score? Ultimate Spider-Man number 12 earns a 5.8 out of 10. It's hard enough to get readers to buy a comic at above average prices and in select stores, which are not always nearby, but to present a story that's only worth reading for the last 3 pages arguably takes advantage of the patience and goodwill of Marvel fans, and that's not okay. You know what? But what do you think? Am I wrong? Are you enjoying Hickman's endless character and world building that spends more time with Uncle Ben than Peter Parker? Leave a thumbs up if you found this review helpful and drop a comment below if you think this series is great and why it's better than I'm giving it credit for. Also, remember to click on the link in the description to read the written review, check out the variant covers and preview pages, and buy this comic to help support the channel. Your support, of course, is greatly appreciated, so thank you very much for joining, and stay tuned through the outro for more reviews just like this one.